Hello, and welcome to the new podcast, Talk Like a Viking. My name is Joe Chevalier, and I will be your host for the foreseeable future, but we'll be coming to you to chat all things triathlon. Now, we'll try to talk about all things triathlon. We may get in the weeds on a few things, but we're going to talk all things swim, bike, run. So we're not just we may not primarily talk triathlon. We may talk about some swim. I mean, heck, you keep seeing records broken in the swim. Katie Ledecky's a badass. May talk about Tour de France when that time of year comes around. But first things first, this is what we're going to talk about on this show. We're going to be covering all things Valhalla and Valkyrie racing and all things within the triathlon community. So, as a member of the triathlon team myself since its inception, signed up for the team late 2015 and been on the team racing it in the kit since 2016. I will say that this team has brought me lifelong friends and it has also given me the opportunity to advance myself within the community just due to the people that I've been surrounded with. So there's been a major help within my own training and athlete career over the years. So look for member registration coming up here in, late this month or December. I'll have to get back to you on that one. So Steve will have to let you know when the registration is going to be opening up. So if you're not part of the team, come join the team. Great community. We can all sit around the team tent or go to some socials, meet some of the team members, have a beer together, wine together, whatever it is that you want to do, or maybe even just have a water. So come join the team, rejoin the team, whatever you want to do. We'll have some awesome sponsors this year. That's one benefit of what's going to happen this year in 2024. We're going to have some awesome racing kits, and we're going to have some good times. So, Skull Vikings. All right, what is this going to be about? Like I mentioned, we're going to be talking about triathlons, but we're going to have a few little fun-filled segments along the way. So, have some interviews, hopefully some interactions with the folks on the team, with people that are on listening to this podcast, to this video, and say, hey, I want to have a question about this, and they can ask that. And we'll try to filter through all that, see if there's some good questions that we want to cover on the show. We will have some co-hosts in the future that I'll be able to bounce some questions off of and say, hey, what's your opinion on this? So be on the lookout for some great people joining the show here in the future. I'll talk about the community a little bit, what's going on in the tri community, within our area, globally, internationally. We'll talk about all that. But like I mentioned, try to get some other people on the show, have some good interviews. I know we have some conferences, town halls, whatever you want to call it, here at the end of the month. So keep a lookout for that event from Steve. But like I mentioned, we'll get some interviews here, maybe get some cooler people on here, prettier people. So I don't have to keep looking at my ugly mug, talk through all these things about triathlon and Valhalla and Valkyrie racing. So thank you for tuning in if you are watching, but the first segment that we are going to have is called Race Like a Viking. So who on the team raced like a Viking recently? So we have a few races that happened, obviously the big one in Kona, but we had Waco 70.3, the Ironman World Championship, Arizona 70.3, Ironman California, Ironman Florida, and Oilman. We had some folks racing. Waco, Andres Ruales, John Roach, Grace Slocum, Alex Metri, Roberto Fentini, Matthew Harding, Diego Marquez, Chris Heiss, John Riggy, Jorge Aragon, Brett Baer, Aaron Jones, Kenneth Page, Michelle Howard, and we had a relay team. I mean, sorry if I butchered your name. And then we had the Ironman World Championship where we had Gemma Hollis, Yana Ritrova, Marcy Brown, Sharon Maddox, Kim Smith, or Van Pelt, Gloria Shrewsbury, Jessica Alberico. Holy crap, ladies. You crushed it in Kona. Congrats. And then we had Arizona 70.3, Jeff Boniface, Annette Boniface, Kelly Wills, Amy Quinn, and Heather Cridlin. Again, sorry if I butchered anyone's name. Ironman California, Chris Lamnet, Chris Myers, and Neil Maddox. Neil couldn't let his wife have all the glory in Kona, so he had to go do Ironman California. Ironman Florida, Nuno de Souza. I'm sorry. Oilman, Clay Condon. Where's it, John? Clay? John? Everyone was asking while you were crushing it out there. Sharon Maddox, Steve Ogwin, Katie Vandervelt, Kim Van Pelt, Mauricio Marquez, Peter Albasturi, Stephen Dobbs, and we had a few relay folks. Steve Solu, sorry, Andres Morales, and Chris Lamneck. Tons of people out there racing recently. That is a lot of names. Wow. Great job, guys. Crushing, racing like a Viking, kicking ass. Which that one is going to turn into our next segment called Mount Rushmore. So, what is Mount Rushmore? That is where I'm going to pick my top 4 people that have raced recently. So I'm going to talk about kind of like Mount Rushmore. There's 4 heads, so we're going to talk about four important people that I'm going to nominate for MVV, which is our most valuable Viking. And I want everyone else to say, "Hey, Joe, you're full of crap. I think these 4 people are the MVVs of our team." So I'm going to nominate 4, and everyone else, I want you to tune in and say, "Hey, here are my top 4 Vikings for the year." And I'm going off recent memory here, so you can say, "Hey, you're full of crap, Joe. You're full of biases. Get out of here." But number 1, I think this one's going to be pretty obvious. This person went out, absolutely crushed World Championship, set a age group record for the bike course. I mean, holy hell, just freaking nuts, mega legs. Yana Riktrova, number 1, MVV. I mean, you can't not talk about that awesome performance. I mean, just a freak of nature. Number 2, Clay Condon. Wow, dude. I showed up the cheer for Oil Man. I'm walking in, I see this guy go flying by on the bike, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, who the heck was that? Just crushed it. I mean, great job. That was an awesome performance. And I mean, you gave that young gun a run for his money, but wow, just absolutely awesome performance, Clay. Keep it up. And then number 3 and number 4 kind of go together for what they accomplished here over the last month. Sharon Maddox, Kim Van Pelt. Wow. You 2 ladies went out, did Kona, came back, put your bikes back together, and went ahead and decided to crush Oil Man. So, round of applause. That is just awesome. Wow. Yeah. I'm gonna say those are my top 4. Yes, please. If you say, "Hey, Joe, you're full of crap. Yana sucks. She doesn't deserve to be there," let me know. Say, "Hey, Gemma Hollis, she's number 1, not Yana." I mean, go ahead, put it in the comments. Let me know. Send me a note. Send me an email. Send me a text. Whatever. I can take it. All right. After that, moving on from our Mount Rushmore segment, the news. So this is where we're going to talk about all things triathlon, what's going on in the community. So with that, I'm going to go into the first one I have noted down here. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce were recently. No, I'm kidding. That's not going to happen. No. Yeah, joke. All right. I'm going to cover this one. Sam Laidlow. I'm not going to go too much into this one because I'm not going to get too much into the drama of it. But Sam Laidlow has recently been accused of doping. The Ironman world champ, guy just won it all. The Von family apparently has been saying stuff, and an email got forwarded to Sam, who then went on to his Instagram, started to trash that family. But we'll see when the dust settles how that all transpires. But I'm not going to get too much into the details on that. But if you have any thoughts on that, let me know. The next one, World Championship. If you are living under a rock in the triathlon community, Lucy Charles Barclay finally stripped that bridesmaid dress off and got right up on top of the podium. Smashed it. Won the swim, first off the bike, first to finish the race. Let's see, swim time 49:36, insane. Bike time 4:32, and a run time of 2:57. Smoking fast, way to go! That is awesome. Yeah, finally on that top step. Next one, Joe Skipper. If you haven't heard recently, he had a little bit of a health scare. I was listening to his podcast the other day, and wow, he had a little bit of a health scare, and he kind of goes into detail on his podcast. So if you haven't listened to Triathlon Mockery, go give it a listen. But he goes into the events that transpired with him as he was getting ready for Ironman Florida. Making some coffee, and suddenly he couldn't talk. The words were in his head, but he just mumbled and garbled came out, and he couldn't actually formulate his words. Unfortunately, his wife and I think it was his father-in-law or father was sitting there when that happened. A little bit of a scare. Finally got a speech back, was saying, "Hey, I'm fine. I'm gonna go ride my bike." His wife was on the phone with a medical friend, and he couldn't even think of who his friend was. No idea who he was. But he was going, "Oh, I'm fine. I'm gonna go ride my bike. I'm gonna keep getting ready for Ironman Florida." Went to go get on his bike and got a dizzy spell, and suddenly he said, "I think I need to go to hospital." I would say, yeah, go get yourself checked out. No stroke. He's fine. It was a result of migraines. Um, so that's a new one for me. I know I was having some spells last week, but wow, the fact that a migraine can cause that. But I guess a lot of folks were telling him, "Hey, I've had similar symptoms." So get healthy, Joe. I know you're a friend of the team. I know you stayed with some folks here. I think Mike Arnold on the team has been a host for you. But hey, get healthy. We'll see you here next year, hopefully at Ironman Texas, kicking ass and winning that race. So prayers go out to you, Joe. Get better. Enjoy that holiday and off season now as you recover from that incident. All right, moving on from the news. We're going to talk about some sponsors that we have for this year. So, sponsor highlight, sponsor time. So, who are our main sponsors going in the 2024 season? So, the first one I'm going to talk about is BMW of the Woodlands. Yes, the Woodlands. Go see the BMW dealership. Lovely salespeople. Obviously, we got the best one on the team. Neil Maddox has provided the team with services there at BMW. I think half the team is driving BMWs because of Neil. Not quite half. I still love my truck. Sorry. Benefited though. I think Neil just moved on to a truck dealership. So, anyways, go pick you up a BMW M8. You know, super high-powered car from BMW. I don't think your bike's going to fit in that unless you put a hitch with a bike rack on it. But I don't think I've ever seen an M8 with a hitch rack on it. So, might want to get you an X5 or an X7 out there. That'll fit your bike. So yeah, put that in the boot. Other great sponsor, Boe Creative. Now I got to give a shout out to Cheryl, one of the great leaders now on this team. She's going to be making this team awesome with our web pages, our social media interactions, and hopefully she'll be making these podcasts and everything look better in the future. But if you're looking for any marketing, advertising, event planning, and digital services, I'm looking over at my notes because it's a lot to write down that they do. If you don't look them up and get some help, you might end up making some cheap podcasts like I am and low, crappy quality stuff. But go give them a look if you need some business help on any of those fronts. And then kind of going off of Boe Creative, we're going to have, and I'm glad I asked Cheryl how to pronounce this because I never would have guessed it, Crescere Digital. Yes, that is spelled Crescere. Crescere Digital. They are a full-service digital marketing agency. So they're going to set up your website, e-commerce, ads, social media, on and on, all that techie stuff on the computer. They can help you out. So give Crescere Digital a look. And I know if you look at our webpage here in the near future, it's probably going to look a lot better than it has in the past, and finally get some good services, and it'll look a lot better and run a lot more smoothly. So with that, let's move on to from our sponsors and move on to the next segment called Try Question. It is question time. So this is an opportunity. I want everyone to submit their questions, whether that's in the comments on YouTube or send a note in or send something in on Instagram, a note. We'll take a look at it, try to get some feedback on here, start talking about some questions, have some back and forth with some co-hosts I hope to bring on here in the future. So, and I stole this one from the team page, and this is, I think, a good one. Kind of a newbie question, but it's a good one. Are you considered an Ironman after finishing a 70.3? Or is it only after you do a full 140.6? So, are you an Ironman if you did a half? Or are you only an Ironman when you did the full? Well, the simple answer to that is no, you're not an Ironman, sorry. But I will say one thing, that just because you did a half doesn't make you less of a badass. There was definitely some discussion there on that question that said, hey, some folks are saying, I think a 70.3 is harder than a full. I agree, but I don't. But they all have their tendencies to be hard depending on what you're pushing yourself to. But yeah, you need to do a 140.6 mile race, or if you've done Chattanooga, 144.6 mile race, and then you are considered an Ironman. But like I mentioned, you are still a badass for having done an Ironman. I mean, or half Ironman. People have been out there racing 4, 6, 7, 8 hours to complete a half, and it's just insane. I mean, half Ironman's nothing to talk down about. I mean, it is an awesome achievement. So, but they're all hard. Even sprints. I mean, I remember back in the day thinking, "Hey, I'm gonna go do a 2 mile run." I thought that was hard. Now I'm 6-time Ironman. So, anyways, they're all hard. So, any other input from my co-host? Yeah, no, I don't have those yet. All right, moving on. Going back to more sponsors. So we're going to talk about some sponsor highlights again. We have more. And to be honest, what I talk about on the show, there's still going to be more that we're adding beyond that. So we're going to have additional sponsors that are going to come out, provide us with some great triathlon services in the future. But the ones that we're going to talk about now are Sterling Ridge Orthopedic. If you have not utilized Sterling Ridge, are you even racing or training? I know I've gone to see them. I had some issues with my back, kept throwing my back out. Went in, had some tests done, MRIs, all that good stuff, and they told me, "Hey, you got some bulging discs in your back. Just got to live with it." And so they put me through some stretches, PT that I got to do now to make sure I don't throw my back out like an old man. Now that I am getting older, so go see them. They'll help you out, straighten you out, solve all your niggles that you have when you're doing this crazy sport of triathlon. And it's inevitable something is going to come up, but go see them. Next, Wayne Phillips, WP Real Estate, our next great sponsor. If you have not spoken with Wayne, you're never going to meet a nicer guy. He's always the crazy guy showing up in like the crazy Christmas suits for our socials in the past. I mean, nice guys selling houses. He just sold a house down the road probably about a year ago from me. I was immediately texting him saying, hey, who are you selling this house to? And he said, hey, don't worry about it. They're great people. So go see Wayne for all your real estate needs, whether or not you're selling or buying or whatever in between. Yeah, he's going to help me build my real estate empire. Aren't you, Wayne? Yeah. Okay. Monopoly style. We're going to own it all. Next, last but not least, FreeSpeedLab. Go see Jorge Martinez. He is going to make you faster probably just by looking at you and saying, hey, your seat needs to do this or that. I mean, bike fit, metabolic testing, aero testing, which is I'm really interested in going to do, but I might need to find time to go do that when I'm not doing work and podcasting and training and all that good stuff. But he will take your triathlon game up, probably not just a notch, like a few notches. So go see Jorge at FreeSpeedLab, schedule that appointment, and then also show up to our little town hall or conference or whatever you want to call it here at the end of the month on November 30th and go see what he's got to say about metabolic testing and all the other testing that he does. Other thing, go see Clayton at Mobility Chiro, get your back straightened out. I know, like I was talking about with Sterling Ridge, there's always some niggle. Go see him. He can help you out. I know for me personally, I always come in and he says, hey, you got any triathlon injuries? And I say, nah, it's from sitting at a desk all day. I need you to fix my back. But go see Clayton. Just awesome worker, awesome help for our community right now. All right, moving on from sponsors. Let's talk about triathlon gear. So what's new in triathlon gear? And I want this one to be open dialogue as well. So send in your comments and feedback. But I'm going to talk about one today that I'm seeing a lot lately, and that is a plastic bottle. What do you mean a plastic bottle? You're probably saying. If you haven't seen, and all you got to do is go to Scott Flathouse's photos from the last few races he's been to, everyone's shoving plastic bottle right here in their kit when they get on that bike. So just go to the gas station, go to your kitchen where you probably have 500 bike bottles sitting there. And when you get on that bike, just shove it up your kit. Make sure your kit's nice and tight up here. You don't want that flapping in the wind, creating parachute. But apparently, that's saving some folks some watts on the bike. So, and if you go see Jorge, he'll tell you how many watts it's saving you. But I'll leave that little nugget for him to talk about here in a few weeks at the end of the month when we're going to talk to him about some testing. So, but I want to hear what everyone's getting for the holidays or going into the race season for 2024, and I want to have a little bit of chat about that. So if you're getting something like, hey, I want to get some calf sleeves, what do you think about that? So we'll have some conversation about that in the future. I want to know, so send it in. I also want to know what your training war stories are, your race war stories. So when you're on your, social media, Facebook, Instagram, and you're writing, hey, look at this awesome picture of me. I'm a badass and I did this race, and you're putting in your little mini race report. Tag us, tag Race Like a Viking, talk like a Viking, tag Race Like a Viking on there. And, we'll look through it. And I want to talk about some of those war stories and say, hey, like, hey, Sherry just posted that she did an awesome Kona race and oil man. And let's talk about, her being a badass. And she said, hey, she, bonked at this mile, came back and kicked ass, that type of stuff. So let's talk about that in the future. I know I wish I had some good war stories lately, but my war story is getting hurt. I was actually training for oil man, and I looked down because I'm looking at my Achilles that I ended up hurting. Went out for a long run about 3 weeks ago and came back, and it was essentially, instead of having a nice little taper down to my ankle, it was just one straight leg because everything had swollen up. So taking some time to recover, which is, never a bad thing. But hey, moving on to 2024 season, it's all we can do, come back stronger. So moving on to our last segment, which is Ask a Viking Anything. This is going to be the interview segment of the podcast. So this is where, hopefully maybe it's a co-host, maybe they just come on for the interview, but this is where we're going to bring in some folks, interesting folks to talk to during the show in the future. Like I mentioned, we're going to be going to talk with Clayton and Jorge Martinez here in the future, but maybe we'll have some folks that we invite on where we just chat here, in our own time. I think we got an Ironman world champ. I think that number one Mount Rushmore vote. I think I've pretty much already told her she's going to have to come on and chat about that story. But what else? Oh, let's bring on our first interview. It's going to be Lucy Charles Barkley. No, just kidding. She probably got the invite and said, yeah, I'm too big for this little schlub here in Texas. I ain't doing that. So, yeah, maybe someday. We'll never know. We'll all have Lucy Charles Barkley on here to talk about the Valhalla public triathlon community about the race. But we'll see. Maybe we'll get some friends on. Maybe we'll talk some other pros as they come into town for some races, see if we can get them on here to chat all things triathlon. But, all right, what's coming for the Valhalla and Valkyrie racing team? I know I talked a lot about things, our new sponsors and everything that's coming down the line. New kit coming. I've heard great things about the new kit, and I pretty much have to leave it at that. If you are picky about your kit and all that, I'm pretty sure you're going to like these. You're going to think they're comfortable as all get out. So, and that's at least the feedback I've heard. So, plus you also need to wear them because they're going to have all these great sponsors on them that we need to represent here going into 2024. And we're going to want to see you wearing those things when you're getting your flat house picture, when you're, in your aero position, just like that picture right there. So you're going to want to have, that kit on when you're doing your flat house picture. Give him a nice little smile. Say, hey, flat house. Hey, Scott. Also, shout out to him. He is actually a sponsor of the team as well. So, you gotta, I already mentioned all of our sponsors, great sponsors that we're gonna have on the team. Sterling Ridge, WP Real Estate, FreeSpeedLab, Canyon. No, sorry, not Canyon. At least not yet. We'll work on that though. we'll have some good events coming up in the future, socials, those little town halls. We already got one for November 30th. Show up, end of the year event. I think there's going to be some other parties going on going into next year. I've heard some rumbles about some training camps and all that. So get on the team for 2024 and enjoy those events. I mean, we've already got some communications going on about rides and training and all that. And not only that, you just get to come together and train and go to the team tent, have a few beers, talk about the race, all that during the 2024 season. So everyone, please stay tuned. Send us your messages, tag us, comment, all that good stuff. And we'll be on the lookout for all that so that we can talk about it in the future. And we'll obviously let you know what's going to be coming here in the near future with those kits. And show up to that little town hall event, socialize, get to know some of the team members for this, the end of this year, going into next year. Talk with Jorge and Clayton, get some great information out of them. It's going to be a good time. But with that, I'm going to send it off. So that is all we're going to talk about. Triathlon, Valhalla, Valkyrie racing team, how badass we are. Please come in. I'm going to try to get that event there at Mobility Cairo cast out for everyone to watch if you're not able to attend. But if you can attend, please come attend. Hopefully we'll have a few good people on here that we can talk to, a few good people to co-host so we can, shoot the shit and have some good conversation. But with that said, everyone, good luck in your off season. Go crush some goals, go crush some training sessions, get stronger, get better. From your friend Joe Skull, give him the horns.